Inflation numbers are about to come way down by the May 10th CPI reading. This is due to the one massive factor of inflation nobody is talking about. In this video, I'm going to outline for you exactly why I think inflation could be down as low as 4% by the May 10th reading. Which means if you want to buy a house, the best time for you is going to be between now and that May 10th reading. Because if inflation does come down, you can expect shortly after, interest rates are going to come down, mortgage rates are going to come down, and buyer demand is going to flood back into the market. As we saw in Dallas, even a 1% drop in mortgage rates, which happened in January, led to a 28% jump in prices in February. 28% jump in housing prices just from a 1% interest rate drop. So if inflation really does start to drop, you can expect a lot more demand than that to come in. It's going to be back to multiple offers, and you're going to wish you had bought a house before that was announced. So let's dive in, but before we do, I'd appreciate if you could give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos like this. Okay, so high level, this is the thesis. As you can see here, this was March of last year. Rents were skyrocketing. So inflation was running rampant here. You can see percent change year over year was almost 18%. But as you can see, ever since March of last year, rents have been just tanking, going straight down until now, where it's estimated at almost 2%. So from an 18% inflated down to 2%. You're going to want to remember those numbers here in a minute. So actual rents have been dropping way down for the last year. Yet if you go look at the CPI shelter chart, this is what covers housing, it looks like it's just going straight up. It's the total opposite of what's really been happening. How can this be? Why is there such a difference when rents are coming straight down? It still looks like they're going straight up. Well, we can see here the CPI for shelter has historically lagged home price changes by 4 quarters. The lag effect is largely due to how long it takes for leases to roll over into a new contract. Landlords typically renew leases every 12 months, as we all know. So in other words, all of those people who signed their lease at the top price of March 2022, their leases are now coming due and they're going to have to re-sign at what will be presumably a less inflated rate. That's why it hasn't been reflected yet, because those people have been locked into their lease until this month. The reason that this is a huge deal is that housing is the single largest category of inflation. It accounts for 1/3 of CPI. You heard that right. 1/3 of the inflation numbers we're all looking at is based on housing alone. And the housing data we have is delayed a year. And this month, that data is finally going to catch up, which means if the housing inflation number drops from where it was up 18% all the way down to 2%, that's going to have a huge impact on overall inflation. So all of this data gives us the following math. Inflation is currently at 6%. 1/3 of that, which is housing, accounts for 2% of that total 6%. So if housing inflation goes from 18% to 2%, that's an 88% reduction, which means instead of 2%, it will actually be 0.2%. So if we have 6% inflation, 2% of that is from housing. That number goes from 2% down to 0.2%. Then overall inflation will come all the way down to just 4.2%. That is a massive drop. And I know some of you are thinking, but Michael, how could housing inflation come down when prices are still so high? That's a great question. Housing inflation isn't actually calculated by housing prices or mortgages at all. The way they calculate it is, if this homeowner were to rent a similar home in the area, how much would they rent it for? So you may own a home and be paying $3,000 a month, but if you were able to rent somewhere in the area for $2,500 a month, for inflation, they're going to count it as $2,500 a month. They don't care what you paid for the house. They don't care what you're paying monthly. All they look at is what could you rent similar in the neighborhood. But Michael, what if you're wrong about all of this and you look like an idiot? Then I simply delete this video. Also, it should be noted, I'm not particularly great at math. For more great and insightful videos and potentially bad math like this, make sure to hit subscribe. See you in the next video.